Hi everyone, welcome to another CIO innovation session here at Inteorp. Today I'd like to introduce you to Phil Komarny, who is the VP and CIO of Seton Hill University. Phil was faced with a really unique challenge in that so many students were bringing their personally owned devices onto his network. He really had to change how his IT was interfacing with his end user. And it really is a result of the consumerization of IT. So Phil's going to talk a little bit about that today. He's going to go through his presentation, should be about 10 minutes or so. If you have any questions, please feel free to stick around and talk to Phil or any of us in the booth. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Tamara. Great. Hi, everybody. Again, my name's Phil Komarny. I'm the CIO from Seton Hill University. We're a small liberal arts school right outside of Pittsburgh, about 2,500 students. And I started there in 2009. And when I started, what the mission that I was given was to create a mobile learning environment. So, it's kind of vague, but that's where we were started with. And when I got there, we inherited a network that looked like that. I think that's why this is getting a little bit small, but we had 10/100 speeds across our network. I had wiring that was bad. It was when we lifted up the covers and really looked, we knew we had to start at the very bottom. We had to really look at our infrastructure at a very different level. And when we did that, we wanted to understand, we knew what we were going to do with this mobile learning environment. BYOD was going to be a big deal. And remember, this is 2009. So we partnered with Enterasys, and we went from core to edge with their solution. I think it was one of the best decisions I made. It was the first time I've ever used Enterasys as a vendor, and we were a Cisco shop before. And we made the switch because of a lot of reasons. And 5 things that I'm going to talk about today are about community, vision, process, policy governance, and staff development. Those are the 5 things that are really going to change when you do a consumerized deployment of your network infrastructure. But again, we went from core to edge. We went from, again, this type of environment to that type of environment. So now we have 10 gig between all of our buildings. We have 4 gigs of internet bandwidth, not 25 megs. We went from 25 access points to 325 access points. And we push our policy from our core the whole way out to our edge devices with Enterasys' software. So it really gives us a really easy way to do BYOD. So in 2010, we created this thing called an iPad for everyone. Everybody thought it was the biggest gimmick in the world. I was P.T. Barnum, getting everybody just to come in and give them free devices. And guess what? It was not that reason at all. In 2007, 2 years before I got there, the university won a Title III grant around strengthening university Title III grant from the federal government, $3 million grant. They put all the money into faculty development around using Web 2.0 tools at a podium. And that was the deciding factor of me taking the job, I thought, because I saw a faculty that had already been, I wouldn't have to fight many battles to get the faculty into this boat because of what they've already been trained on. They wanted to use these at the podium. All I had to do was create an infrastructure that would support it, and then really layer on top of it all the policies, all these things that we needed to change to make it that easy to use. So this was a really big deal because we went from 8,000 page views on our website to about 800,000 in one day because of this just announcement. So, the marketing factor was there. We never intended it to do that, but it actually did. And my just a little side note, my president came to me because I'm a pretty excitable person. I was very excited about this idea. And she said, don't get discouraged if this doesn't take off. This might not be that big a deal. Very next day, I was sending them notes all night long on Twitter saying, we're trending 1,000 tweets a second because of this. She brought me this giant bottle of champagne and put it on my desk and said, you know what, I was wrong. And I was like, wow, this culture really could support this thing. So we kept going. Now, here we are today, 98% of our traffic on our network originates on a wireless access point. 98% of it. The 2% is the voice over IP system we put in 2009. We used Asterisk, which is an open source product. So that's what our network traffic looks like now. So we're completely consumerized. One of the biggest things that there's 2 things. Everybody asks me, what comes first, the vision or the community? And in my world, it's the community. We built a community we built a web portal, okay? But this web portal is kind of unlike any other ones that I've ever been experienced with, is we wanted to leverage the user experience. We wanted them to be able to use these devices, we didn't just give these to students, we gave them to faculty and staff as well. So we really wanted to integrate this into our business, okay? But this community bound us all together in one common place where we all log into every day, and now we leverage that thing for single sign-on into 8 different data stores. We bubble all kinds of data up from all of our enterprise data stores into about 138 applications we built in this portal over the last year and a half. So we have everybody logging in, and now we're affecting the business by engaging with each one of our silos to understand how they do business, and we can mash up data and put it into an interface that they can actually be very, very successful with. So instead of me training a new user on how to use an enterprise system, I just hand them an iPad and tell them, give them access to what they need access to, and they're functioning. And it's a great thing to see because they're engaged in the business day one. Again, what comes first? I thought it was community, and that is the vision. The vision is the key. It has to be very broad, but it has to be very laser focused on into those silos to understand how to take them apart. And in the past, IT was the cement of those silos. We built those things. We delivered this application to this silo, this application to this silo, just kept stacking them up, and before you know it, nobody's communicating across them. So we used it to the vision that we created was very broad and very focused on that user experience, hyper focused on it. So when we start to build applications now, that vision comes into play, and the first question we answer is, how's it going to affect our user's experience? First question, no matter what kind of application we build. And I'm a big proponent of Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, you should be. It definitely is my crystal ball into what's coming next, and it really does help me do my job better. And as a CIO, I can't consume enough data. I can't read enough. I can't be in tune enough to what this market's doing right now, especially when we're this far into this consumerization of our network. Really got to see what's coming down the road. So again, it changed every one of our processes, and I think it's a good thing. It's sometimes a painful thing just in IT. Whenever you have developers and operations people are really going to start butting heads around a lot of this because we're taking the big iron off of campus. Now we have about 80% of our infrastructure up at Amazon in multiple availability zones, and we also fell over and do disaster recovery in another cloud. So we've taken all but our video system that's on campus, our student information system, which we're not going to move to the cloud until we upgrade that, and that's it. That's anything we have to support on ground. Everything else has been moved up to the cloud, and we've experienced all kinds of benefits through that. Collaboration is the key. Policy and governance have to change, and you have to be collaborative around it. You can't just write a policy and give it out like you usually would from IT. We know what the rules are all going to be. We want to understand how people want to interact with this data and interact with our network, interact with each other. If you don't think that's going to change every policy that you've currently written, you're wrong, because it did with us. We had to go through and really take them apart, make them just as secure, but really pull everybody together to make that governance model very shared. And that has changed the way that everybody looks at IT and the way we look at everybody else. Now we're one big community around technology, not us delivering technology to the community. Security, absolutely. I like to sleep at night. So we implement a ton of stuff in the background. We don't have to be very in your face where it's very obtrusive and very painful to get on our network and do things. We're doing a lot of stuff in the background that will allow you to do things, but we're going to monitor and rate limit and package shape certain things. And we're always going to, we have the Dragon IDS system that we do leverage. All our net flows come into one place. I only have a network staff of 3. One network admin, one wireless guy, and one guy kind of floats between the two. And he's going to become more of our, we're looking for a chief information security officer right now, because that is a role that's going to play a big part in our upcoming solution here. Hold on. Staff development. Wow, this has been painful. The last 2 years have been a very tumultuous time on campus because, again, the developers and operations people are going to start to butt heads a bit. But if you really always reiterate the vision of where you want to go, and this vision of the cloud vision reflecting the staff development, we have more and more people that are coming on board are more web developers, more programmers, more people that are on that side of the house, because to support this, you're going to need that kind of flexibility and those kind of skill sets. Good network admins are always going to be useful, but we need less of them now because of the way we're structured. The more cloud resources we can consume, we need less and less of one type of skill set and more of other ones to actually make them, really sing. So it's been a big change. here's one thing I'm really proud of. That's why I can tell you this is definitely working for us, is after 2 years, when I inherited this IT department, we were ranked last. We were the worst part of the campus, 11th out of 11 business units. By the students, faculty, and staff, they always rated us last. And that's not uncommon for a service organization that's always having things brought to them that's broken, okay? So the first thing I did was take my staff to the local Apple store. And I know the business manager, I let them meet the Apple guys. I know Ron Johnson from Apple pretty well. His whole methodology around when you go to an Apple store and you bring that device to a genius, they're fixing your relationship with the computer. They're not fixing your computer. That was really telling for me. To hear my staff, I brought my staff to experience that firsthand, and that's the result of it. My staff now, they're loved by the community because of the way we service them. We make it easy. We make them be very self-sufficient. And so we can really work on the bigger problems to really make the network that much bigger, or that much better. And at the end of the day, it leads to CIO relevance. Anybody here a CIO at all? No? What this does is gives us a language of engagement. It gives us a way to engage with every business unit to deliver value across our enterprise, not just from one part of our enterprise, but across it. And that is the key, I think, to the future of education, especially mid-market of education, needs to have relevance from the CIO to be able to make the business agile enough to move in the correct directions in the very near future. And that's it. Thank you very much for coming. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to talk. So, thank you.